absolutely. I mean, I think we're concerned about media consolidation, whether it's Fox, Disney, NBC. We think we should have more local media ownership. That's what we'd really like to see, is more people breaking up some of these big companies, seeing them have to actually compete at the local level. But really, you know, I would settle for competing in different voices, reporters out there competing for scoops, offering different viewpoints, letting different folks on the air in a given market. I think that's what serves everybody, and really that's what serves us as citizens. We want to know that there are competing stations, maybe across the political spectrum, with lots of different reporters who are each telling us different stories. So we know that, hey, we can go different places for different views. When it comes to local TV, which is still the #1 source for news, the #1 source for news when it comes to elections, that ownership diversity really doesn't exist.
You mind if I ask, for those who don't know, who's Boris and why is he a liar?
Yeah, Boris is, I can't remember his last name, or I can't pronounce it, but he's one of their paid commentators, and he's been very close to the Trump campaign, and he basically echoes the Trump line every night as sort of a commentary. He positions himself as being independent, but he's anything but independent. And he's a liar. And as a matter of fact, this is a picture from when he was arrested in 2014 for punching somebody out. So in addition to being a liar, he's a thug.
My name is Craig Aaron, and I'm the head of Free Press, one of the organizers of the protest today. We're going to hear from a couple of the groups, hear some more about Sinclair through this lovely megaphone. I just want to say I'm so happy that all of you are out here today representing millions and millions of people who are opposed to the merger of Sinclair and Tribune. We know that Sinclair is already too big. The public is waking up to the dangers posed by Sinclair because we want competition. We don't want cookie-cutter content. We want independent voices, not fewer choices. We want local news, not right-wing views. We want diverse viewpoints, not racism and xenophobia. We want journalists speaking truth to power, not parroting Donald Trump's talking points. We want the Justice Department to block this deal. We want the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, to stop this merger and stop aiding and abetting Sinclair's expansion. And we want Congress, our representatives and senators, to step in if they won't. These are the public's airwaves. They don't belong to Sinclair, Tribune, or Fox. They belong to us. And we are here to take them back. We're here to stop Sinclair, and we're here to save our stations.
So we are the largest online racial justice organization in the country with 1.4 million members. We're here because we think that this is a shame of a process, and we're calling on our regulatory bodies to speak up for the communities that they're supposed to represent. Last night, I was at home in Baltimore watching the local news with my husband, and I was sort of wondering, I was thinking about this protest tomorrow and why we would come here. And I was thinking about, what is my connection to local news? Why do I continue to watch it even as I'm suspicious of it? And I think about, the first thing that came to mind were summers with my grandmother. I remember sitting with her. She didn't have a lot of education, so there was a couple of things that every day would happen. I would read to her from the newspaper. She would ask me questions about the stories, and then she would sit and she would knit and she would watch Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and local news. It was her touch point, or her ability to see what was happening in our communities and to understand what was going on. And that influenced me. That kind of encouraged me to believe in the trust and the purpose and intention behind local news. I actually wanted to be a newscaster growing up in Illinois. I knew our local newscaster. She was of our community. We looked at the news and expected that what was coming through there was actually related to us and what was happening in our communities. But since Sinclair, that's stopped. Unlike with Fox and MSNBC, where you're seeing a pundit shoot off sharp talking points and you expect that it's going to come with bias, we expect that when we watch the news locally, that we're going to trust that that information will be narrated to us by people that live in our communities. Our trust should not be abused to further harmful narratives and attempt to influence election results or promote policies that help the rich get richer and the poor get screwed. What we know to be true now is that the biggest challenge to justice is shifting the assumptions that underline what we fight for, which is necessary to enable change. Sinclair comes in our homes every night, and they teach us to fear our Muslim neighbors, but not to worry about the white nationalists marching on our lawns. They teach us that Black protesters that say stop killing us are a direct threat to our democracy, but that terrorists in places like Charlottesville are what make America great. And they force our trusted broadcasters to deliver that message every night as though those are facts. But we're here to reject that. We're here standing with all of you. We're so glad that you guys traveled, parked discreetly and are avoiding the lawn and standing out here protesting and standing with us and calling on our regulatory bodies to stop Sinclair. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the United Church of Christ. Not everyone may know this, but the United Church of Christ has been fighting for media democracy and for local media basically longer than any other organization in this country. I'm going to hand the mic over to Cheryl.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah!
All right. So as Craig said, I'm here from the United Church of Christ. In the 1950s, the church started looking at what was going on with TV stations, in particular TV stations in the South. In the South, if you watched your local TV station, you did not know maybe that the civil rights movement was happening. Why? Because those local TV stations would cut off the news feed. So we started our activism back at that time as part of the civil rights movement. We've been working on these issues for 50 years. So I'm here because Sinclair fails two important tests. All right, the first test is that no matter what media company you are, we want there to be diversity and competition. We want many, many reporters working for many, many local news stations, many, many different points of view. We want no company to get too big. And Sinclair, this proposal is going to have best company get more local TV stations than any other company and is going to reach more than 70% of the United States public. That is too big for any company. So Sinclair fails the competition, multiple points of view, First Amendment test. Second, Sinclair fails because Sinclair's business practices are reprehensible. And one of the most important examples I can bring to you today is their Islamophobia. I and the United Church of Christ, we stand in solidarity with all faith traditions. And when one faith tradition is attacked, we're all attacked. And Sinclair makes it a routine practice to force their point of view across all the stations in the country that equate Muslims, God-fearing Muslims who are part of our community, as terrorists. And that is wrong. That is Islamophobia, and we need to stop it. So Sinclair fails two tests. No company should be as big as Sinclair wants to get, and no company should be able to get away with spreading lies and hatred against a community of faith in our country. So I am glad to be out with you here today in solidarity, and let's stop this merger!
Stop demonizing black people, black communities.
Water.
Can you keep Islamophobia off of our TV stations?
Anybody want water?
All right, thank you, everybody.
We want justice.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I'll have a water. Appreciate you being here. Mark Hyman from Sinclair has joined us. Brought water. So thank you, Mark. Okay, I now want to turn over. The mic here to Yosef Getachew from Common Cause. Common Cause is an organization committed to media and democracy. Yosef works closely with Michael Copps, the former FCC commissioner who fought for years and years to stop the expansion of Sinclair. All right, over to you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Yes! Hi, my name is Yosef Getachew. I am the Media and Democracy Program Director at Common Cause. Common Cause is a national organization dedicated to holding government accountable and infusing democratic values within our policy.
Can't hear.
Can you hear me?
Much closer to your mouth.
Common Cause is a national organization dedicated to holding government accountable and infusing democratic values in our policy. Everyone here has seen the Deathspin video showing Sinclair forcing 66 local stations to air the same content at the same time, criticizing other outlets for being a danger to our democracy. But we all know Sinclair is a real danger to our democracy.
That's right.
Sinclair has done this for years. It's its business model. it forces local stations to air must-run content against their will. This is what Sinclair does. It airs its centralized content under the guise of its local broadcasters. These are trusted local anchors who have built up the trust and respect of their communities, and they're getting forced to air this content against their will. At the same time, Sinclair wants to get bigger now. Sinclair wants to merge with Tribune. If it's allowed to merge with Tribune, it would reach over 70% of households nationwide. That's a major danger to our democracy. At a time when they're controlling much of local content and forcing broadcasters to say things against their will, we can't have this. So please, contact your member of Congress. Contact the FCC. Say why you oppose the Sinclair merger. Say you want more diversity in local news. Say you want more competition. Say you want less control over Sinclair and other major media outlets. And let's all band together and block this merger. Woo!